At 1900 hours local time, the Black Sea looks calm on satellite imagery. Just another winter night. No storms, no fleets massing, no obvious threat. But somewhere inside Ukraine's exclusive economic zone, that picture is lying. A 275-meter crude oil tanker named Dashan is running dark. Her AIS transponder has gone silent. She is sailing under a flag of convenience, and her bow is pointed steadily toward Novorossiysk, Russia's main Black Sea oil terminal. On tracking websites, she is just another Suezmax-class tanker, 160,000 tons of steel and carrying capacity. In reality, she is part of Russia's shadow fleet, a network of opaque, heavily sanctioned tankers used to move Russian oil around Western sanctions and keep petrodollars flowing into the war budget. Dashan's story reads like a case study in sanctions evasion. Built in the mid-2000s, renamed more than once, reflagged to small coastal states, and insured through third-tier providers, she has already been flagged by Western authorities for transporting Russian crude under conditions that skirt or violate the G7 price cap. The cargo in her tanks is worth tens of millions of dollars. That money translates directly into artillery shells, missiles, glide bombs, and drones aimed at Ukrainian cities and infrastructure. Tonight, Ukraine has decided that Dashan will not complete her run. Along the Ukrainian coast, in a secure facility far from the waterline, operators from the Security Service of Ukraine, the SBU, and the Ukrainian Navy are watching the plot. They have been building target lists for months. Sanctioned hulls, suspicious routes, tankers with long stretches of dark AIS, shell company owners, and cargoes lifted from Russian ports at discount prices. Dashan has been on that list. Now she has crossed a line, both literally and figuratively, as she enters Ukraine's exclusive economic zone at high speed, transponder off, headed for Novorossiysk. The response is already prepared. On the shoreline, 3 low, angular craft slide into the water. They are uncrewed surface vessels, Ukraine's now famous Sea Baby naval drones. On paper, a Sea Baby looks simple. A small boat, around 6 meters long, barely 60 centimeters above the waterline, with an electric or combustion powertrain and a camera mounted forward. In reality, it is a precision-guided torpedo with a brain. Sea Baby carries a warhead of several hundred kilograms of explosives, with later variants approaching a ton, and can travel hundreds of kilometers at speeds up to 90 kilometers per hour. It is controlled by operators sitting behind screens, linked via satellite and encrypted data channels, staring at a live video feed from just above the water's surface. Sea Baby has already built its reputation. In previous operations, these drones forced elements of the Russian Black Sea Fleet to withdraw from Sevastopol to the relative safety of Novorossiysk. They have struck landing ships, patrol craft, and even port facilities. More recently, they hit 2 other sanctioned tankers, Kairos and Virat, in the Black Sea, disabling both and forcing emergency responses as fires burned on deck. Those attacks were a warning. The Shadow Fleet itself is now part of the battle space. Dashan is about to become the next example. As the drones push into open water, their silhouettes vanish into the sea state. On radar, they are near the noise floor, just another flicker among waves and civilian traffic. From the perspective of the tanker's bridge crew, the horizon is routine. A few distant lights, the steady roll of the ship, the vibration of machinery deep in the hull. There is nothing to suggest that 3 explosive-laden craft are racing toward them at high speed. In the control room ashore, the operators watch their screens. Grainy infrared outlines show the bulk of Dashan growing slowly larger. They see the line of piping on deck, the block of the superstructure, the scatter of lights across the hull. Target data overlays the image. Range, bearing, closure rate. The drones are spread out, approaching from offset angles to complicate any attempt at evasion. Dashan is running black, transponder off, minimizing her visible profile. That tactic made sense in a world where the main threats were patrol aircraft, submarines, or coastal radars. It is far less effective against a weapon that skims just above the water, with its own camera and its own guidance, controlled in real time by humans who can adjust course right up to the last second. There is no radio warning, no attempt at deterrence. From the Ukrainian point of view, this is not a confused civilian vessel. It is a sanctioned, high-value logistics asset feeding a war of aggression. The operators make their final corrections. On the drone's camera, Dashan now fills the frame. The hull looms higher, steel plates rising like a wall. Navigation lights tremble on the surface of the water as the drone's wake tightens. At the last moment, the image becomes unstable. White spray and blurred metal, and then the feed cuts out at the point of impact. Later, the SBU will release a short video fragment. A low, white wake knifing across the dark sea, the massive shadow of a tanker looming ahead, and then a flash as the footage ends. According to Ukrainian security sources cited in open reporting, 3 Sea Baby drones are used in the attack on Dashan. At least one detonates alongside the hull as the ship transits Ukraine's exclusive economic zone, delivering a focused blast into her side. The result is not a spectacular sinking. Ukraine's objective is to disable, not to create an environmental disaster. Damage control teams on board fight for stability, but the outcome is clear. Dashan is no longer able to safely continue her mission without serious repair. From a purely military standpoint, the strike is efficient. From an economic standpoint, it is even more significant. A Suezmax tanker like Dashan can move on the order of $50 to $60 million worth of oil products in a single voyage. Taking her off the board, even temporarily, removes a substantial chunk of capacity from Russia's sanctions-evading network. Multiply that by several tankers disabled in rapid succession, and the effect ripples outward. Higher insurance premiums, tightened financing, more cautious charterers, and routes that become longer and more complex. This is why Ukraine is spending scarce technology on tankers instead of using every drone directly at the front line. The center of gravity in this war is not only trenches and artillery duels, it is the flow of money and fuel behind them. Russia's shadow fleet emerged as a workaround when Western sanctions and price caps went into effect. By turning that fleet into a legitimate wartime target, Ukraine is striking at the financial bloodstream of the Russian war effort. The operation also pushes into a legal and diplomatic gray zone. These ships are civilian crewed commercial vessels even if their ownership structures are opaque, and their cargo finances military operations. Ukraine argues that tankers running dark, carrying sanctioned oil, and operating under flags of convenience while directly supporting a war of aggression have forfeited any claim to safety. Critics warn that targeting commercial hulls increases risk for the entire region and blurs the traditional line between military and civilian shipping. But in practical terms, the facts on the water are changing. War risk insurance rates for the Black Sea rise. Coastal states worry about fires or spills near their own waters. Naval planners everywhere take note. Unmanned surface vessels have made size a vulnerability rather than a shield. A tanker's massive hull, once a symbol of stability, is now an oversized target for a small, cheap, and precise attack craft. Dashan, Kairos, Virat. The names begin to form a pattern. Each disabled ship is a message to owners, insurers, and charterers. If you choose to carry Russian oil through contested waters, you are part of the conflict, and you may be treated as such. For Russia, each loss is a reminder that the Black Sea is no longer a secure logistics corridor. For Ukraine, Each successful strike is proof that innovation and persistence can offset numerical inferiority at sea. By dawn, the sea has swallowed the noise. Dashan is a wounded hulk, no longer a simple line on a chart running confidently toward Novorossiysk. The Sea Baby drones that struck her are gone, their operators already reviewing data and planning the next mission. Somewhere in a shipping office, someone looks at the footage, checks the route of their own vessels, and hesitates.